So, Abbas, I've listened to 30 of these episodes over the past year and a half, and I love what you're doing. It's a lot of great information. It seems like there's just so much. I'm not sure where to start. I feel a little overwhelmed with all this because what you're talking about here is so different than what my doctor talks about. There's a lot here. What do you think I can do?
I think you may need a health coach. I have recently met a wonderful woman, Holly Parker. Immediately after a few minutes of conversation, I thought she'd be a great guest for our audience. She is a certified health coach, and she can navigate and help you through your confusion.
So for our listeners, we've already recorded an episode with Holly, and you'll see that'll be coming up here in a few seconds. Really enjoyed this discussion. I love how she focuses on mindset as a key aspect of lifestyle change.
Here's our interview with Miss Holly Parker.
Thanks, Rob and Abbas. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Holly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little background, and how you become a health coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I became a board certified and functional medicine certified health and wellness coach back in 2018, 2019. And since then, I've developed a bit of a niche around lifestyle and longevity coaching. So I like to describe myself as a lifestyle and longevity coach, a bio-optimizer, a fierce optimist, and a transformation junkie. I've certainly had my own wellness journey that helped bring me to this point. I did have a really thriving career as an artist and a curator, but I've always been that sort of bio-optimizer, partly because I was born into this world with a fair amount of health adversity and then a lot of underlying factors that I didn't even know about. But as I got older and I was exposed to a lot of chemicals in my studio environment, I grew up with a father who was in construction, and we were constantly remodeling things on the house. I was assisting him with changing oil in the cars in the garage. I mean, these are pastimes that I'm very fond of, but there were also a lot of environmental exposures growing up in a household with cigarette smoke and things like that. So that definitely took a toll on my immune system, which maybe I was already born into this world with a little bit of a vulnerability there. But anyway, as my adult life went on, things cropped up, and I ended up with experiencing some autoimmune issues, and that was really a clue to me to start unraveling the different layers of the onion. And conventional medicine wasn't doing what I needed there, because conventional medicine is about medicine, and that was about providing regimen after regimen of antibiotics and antihistamines, and that wasn't working. It was making me worse. So I started seeking alternative ways of unraveling that onion and starting to get to the root cause of the issues. And so part of that was at a medical level in the body. Other parts had to do with lifestyle and starting to clean up those lifestyle factors. So for me, being someone who really loves to be well, I love to be in this body. I love the joy of exercise and moving and being in a body that really moves well. And I can have fun in the world with trail running or dancing or just being here with my people. So I've always had this keen interest in studying that and learning from all the brilliant practitioners that had the pleasure of helping me. And so that was certainly an inspiring factor for me changing careers. But it was in 2014 when my life was filled with all of the top 5 major stressors that people come up against. I was going through a divorce. I was moving home. I was changing jobs, and I had loved ones who died all during that period. And that is when those autoimmune symptoms really cropped up on me. And I was like, okay, the body is speaking very loudly. I am listening. And it was a great opportunity for me to have some existential contemplation on where I wanted to go from that point. And for me, it felt like a logical move to figure out how to transition from an arts administration, curatorial, and artist career into the wellness world. And so I took a little bit of time to see how my skills and superpowers could match up into the wellness world. And it just made sense for coaching to be the way in, not knowing where it would go. But it turns out that I absolutely love working with clients as a coach and being their ally, being by their side, but also supporting them strategically to get really personalized about what their priorities are and what changes need to happen for them, and then supporting them to implement those changes. Because for most of us humans, behavior change can be really tricky, really challenging. And we need someone by our side to work those strategies out and nail down some logical experiments to have and start to play with those, implement changes in our life, and then tweak them as we go along.
Thank you for that. That's really enlightening, and really also just kind of gives us a perspective on where you started and your story as to why you started doing this. The autoimmune disease sounds very interesting. We'd like to probably ask you a little more about how you overcame that or managed that. For the listeners and for us, give just an overview of what is a health coach, wellness coach. Could you describe kind of different terminology, how it's the certification, and kind of just a little bit about what this is? Because I know this is a new concept for a lot of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in short, a health coach is someone who's your ally and your guide in your very personalized health journey. So we serve as educators and also strategists in the implementation and the support phase in that journey, because most people don't know where to start, and many people have challenges with behavior change, right? We are creatures of habit. And so once we establish those habits later on in life, it gets really tough. We like our foods that we like. We like to, we like our days how they are. And so, but when we have to change our lifestyle habits, it can get really difficult. So having that support along the way can be very helpful. And you're right, the term health coach is fairly new to most people. However, it's heard much more often these days. But health coaching is a fairly new wellness field. It's gaining traction, and there's mounting evidence that coaches bring value to those who are seeking a sense of control over their health outcomes, and for those who need support implementing better habits.
Yeah, in my practice, when I see the patient, I tell them the health is the most important investment of their life. We all have financial advisors, we have mechanics to fix the car, but there's not enough coaches to get us through the health, which is the most important investment of our life for long journey.
Oh my gosh. I'm really excited that you brought up the idea of investment, because I like to describe myself as a coach, as the technician who empowers you to upgrade the lifestyle factors and mindset that are necessary to reverse biological age and set the optimal conditions for healing and peak performance. And I help you ensure that all the outside efforts that you're making are worth that investment, right? So, many of us are taking different measures to positively impact our health or appearance of health. And some of these measures take a lot of time and money and physical energy and sacrifice. And, maybe that makes you think of the cosmetic enhancement world at the very least. But, however, also consider the amount of time and money and other resources like your personal energy that are involved when it comes to caring for our bodies. And I think that those health investments, Abbas, are on a spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, these investments are interventional things, like maybe it's like cortisone injections for joint inflammation, or regular chiropractic appointments for your cranky back, and or long-term medications for some chronic illness that's emerged, or multiple medications for a pile of chronic illnesses. And on the other end of the spectrum, maybe you're investing your resources in a lot of supplements or gym memberships, or good quality organic foods, things along those lines. But each has a cost. It has an investment. And you want to get the most bang for your buck, right? And the whole point I'm looking to make here really is that each of these interventions are only as effective as the conditions allow within the body and the body's environment. So in other words, if the conditions within the body and its environment are not conducive to receiving the benefit of the intervention, then the intervention is less effective, or only temporarily effective, or maybe not effective at all, or the intervention is only helping to mop up the leak, but it's not really fixing the hole in the pipe, right? So some might call those conditions the terrain. That's becoming a more popular way to describe it. And it takes us back to farming and nature, and ties us to the idea that the nutritional value of the food that we're eating is only as good as the nutritional value of the soil, right? So we can think of our bodies as that garden, then I think it makes a lot of sense. But anyway, all of that to say that I think that coaches have a huge value in helping clients clean up that terrain.
I love your motto.
Oh, I just had a comment and a quick question. We've covered this topic a little bit in prior episodes about the concept of what Abbas and I learned in med school is health as the absence of disease, and we learned all this pathology. We learned about all these different diseases, but it's almost like taking it another step. You're saying, yes, okay, here are these conditions, but you're looking at health and trying to, well, I guess that is the term optimize, or sort of help to, because a lot of folks, they go into the doctor, everything is good, everything's normal, the labs are perfectly normal, but they don't feel right, they feel tired, or they feel depressed or whatever. This is a little bit different, and I guess, how would you describe health, and what are you trying to achieve with this coaching?
There are a couple of ways to answer that question, Rob. I work directly with a number of practitioners who refer clients or into my coaching practice, and I also work with people who will come to me on their own accord. Oftentimes, when clients are referred to work with me from their practitioner is saying, hey, this cropped up on your labs. We want, your job is to rectify the conditions so that you can improve the labs, right? Or they've had a diagnosis of an illness. I work with a lot of practitioners who are root cause approach practitioners, and oftentimes they're going to do the labs that patients aren't getting in the conventional space, so that you can go more upstream and get a deeper and broader perspective on where the limitations or the obstacles are within the body. So then in the coaching practice, we have a better idea of the lifestyle factors that can be cleaned up and optimized in order to set the conditions for healing or optimization. Sorry, that was a
great
way of describing.
No, that's great. That's great. No, the thing is today's modern medicine or Western medicine is just fixing the problem or problem solving of one issue. If you have a gallstone, we can take the gallbladder out. If you have bowel obstruction, we can relieve. But there's more into that. It's just how to prevent things, and then if you have it, how to deal with it, not only with medicine and also with lifestyle. And I think that's what the coaches come helps, that help other things, whether diet, exercise, or even just when you think of a disease, and Rob probably can see it in cancer, other things, is your mindset is the key thing to success, even from a smaller thing. Sometimes a smaller disease, I see the people give up and then it becomes a huge condition. But people, they can have metastatic cancer and they live so positively and they live through these things. And it's amazing that at least what we see. And I think that's where I see the coaches are the most helpful to help those with the stuff that we don't see in daily medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. So conventional medicine can be absolutely life-saving, right? There is a place for it and there will always be a place for it. However, we can prevent the need for that medicine so often if we just come back to ourselves and we look at our environment, our internal environment and our surroundings, and optimize those to prevent chronic illness.
Could you describe, Holly, some of the lifestyle factors that you focus on with your clients?
Mm-hmm. Certainly. So in my one-to-one coaching practice and in my coaching program called Longevity Lift, I focus heavily on educating and supporting clients to optimize the lifestyle factors that set those conditions for healing and optimization. So, and these factors include mindset, stress management and resolution, sleep, food, movement, relationships, and environmental toxins. So would you like me to say a little bit about each of those?
Yeah, go or select a couple that you think are pertinent. Yeah, absolutely.
So, with mindset, since you mentioned that earlier, it is really top of the list. And mindset is really about supporting people to investigate and discover the things about their mindset, and to redesign their thinking and approach to things like stressors. And this includes understanding how and where you might have a fixed mindset and have an opportunity to shift that to a growth mindset. It might include identifying and overcoming self-limiting beliefs, things like that. In stress management or stress resolution, we all face stressors, right? We're facing so many stressors in our environment today. And so the art of stress resolution is about adopting the mindset and methods to mitigate or resolve stressors so that they don't have as much of an impact on our health. So a lot of us are just walking around in that fight or flight state all the time now. And so the work that mindset and stress management or resolution have together is to help you adjust from a mindset point the physical response of the stressors that you're facing. So rather than, one of the examples that I like to give there is that too often many of us are standing around the water cooler and misinterpreting the squinty glance from your boss as they walk by, right? And that's putting you into fight or flight when, really fight or flight should be reserved for when we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, right? So being able to gain some control over that fight or flight and mitigate it so that your body isn't constantly in that state and taking a physical toll on the body.
What about nutrition? How do you approach the nutrition with your patient?
Yeah, great question. The way that I address food with clients is We start by taking an inventory of what their day-to-day food looks like over the course of a week or two. We want to incorporate, because you have fluctuations during the week. Maybe during the week, you're working and you have this very regimented way of feeding your body, and then the weekends maybe shift up for a lot of people, right? So I like to take an inventory and look at what their eating patterns are and identify how that can be cleaned up. A lot of times that has to do with timing of food, types of food, helping people really do what we all know that we need to do, which is eat more vegetables and hydrate. Those are really the simple things for sure. Certainly, there are clients that need much more specialized ways of eating. So I work with a lot of the food plans from the Institute for Functional Medicine. They're really wonderfully dialed in food plans that can help clients zone in more specifically a food plan for a overall condition. So some people need to go on really restrictive food plans very temporarily to help sort out gut issues or food sensitivities. And so elimination food plans work really well for that to do over the course of about a month, and then you do a reintroduction phase. Other clients who might be trying to lose weight or mitigate other cardio issues, then there are cardio-metabolic food plans that help people, help guide people in what to eat. A lot of folks come in and they're still eating just the standard American diet, not a lot of processed foods, not a lot of vegetables, quick convenience foods, toxic oils. Processed foods are really full of cheap, toxic, damaged oils that are just really damaging to the human body at the cellular level. There are really simple ways to support people to optimize their food simply by identifying where these patterns that are not serving them.
Yeah, because today we're fighting this food industry and all these energy drinks and all of that, and people, they see that, if you look at it on TV, there's nobody else, eat. There's a few here there in healthy food, but it's mostly just the food industry that is advertising, most of the sports events and all of that. So yeah, that's to identifying and using in daily things is very important. And some people definitely needs some help and coaching to that, because they didn't learn that from their parents, and it goes from one generation to the next.
One quick question. I saw you had Viome on your that's the company and the microbiome analysis service. I'm just curious if you've seen any benefit with that in your clients.
Why I'm a proponent of that test is a couple of reasons. One, Viome's done a really amazing job of making that test accessible in the sense that it's affordable and it comes to your home. You take the test at home, you send it off, and you get a set of information back that can help you start to personalize and dial in specifically for your body. And they're looking at a combination of your DNA and what foods are most optimal for you at a DNA level. And they combine it with a certain amount of microbiome analysis as well. So I'm a big fan of it for that reason. I do consider that test to be kind of a gateway test, if you will. If you aren't already working with root cause approach practitioner, then I think that is a really good gateway test to start getting you on track and giving you enough information that may take you into that space with a root cause practitioner who can do some deeper testing for you.
Yeah, we are coming from different background, and I think if, for example, Alaskan or Asian or different cultures have different food desire and food, and the same thing, our gut is very different. from one culture to the next culture. And we live in America, we kind of mixed culture, so it's good to know that, well, what has worked for centuries for one group may not work for the other groups.
Right, exactly. So that's, like what you're talking about is really gets down to a DNA level. And then there's this whole other level at an epigenetic level, how our bodies are changing because of our environmental exposures. And I'm just seeing this enormous prevalence of people coming in with damaged guts. We can go back to the ancient medicine practitioners who say that all health and all disease begins in the gut. And Abbas, to go back to your point earlier when you were talking about how the food industry, processed foods, and this comment that I made earlier about the damaged oils, all the GMO foods, and all of the chemical exposures that we're getting from our foods when we're choosing non-organic foods, and because of the prevalence of things like glyphosate in groundwater and rainwater, then even organic foods become to a certain degree somewhat contaminated by those chemicals, and all of that is really damaging to the gut lining. So I see this enormous prevalence of people coming into my practice who that's really one of the places where we want to look first and begin the healing process. And so in order to heal the gut, it's not just about food. It is absolutely also about cleaning up the other stressors from your environment, including your psycho-emotional stressors.
Are there any other lifestyle factors you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I think, oh gosh, they're all so important, Rob. They're all important. And for each person, where they start is going to be really individualized. I like to work with clients and see, what are you wanting to do? What do you think you're needing to do? Or what is your practitioner saying you're needing to do? And then what are you ready to do? And then we'll look at each of these lifestyle factors and then prioritize for you, make a really personalized decision on where do you need to start. For some, it's going to be like, wow, I'm going to get the most bang for my buck if I just move more, right? It's going to lower stress. It's going to help me lose that pesky little 5 pounds I can't lose. It'll help straighten out, help me regulate hormones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? For some people, it's going to be relationships. They need to get more in touch with their relationship with themselves, their relationships with others, their relationships with spirit. And in order to do that, it might be a process in talking about the nonviolent communication model and how to incorporate that into your personal relationships, including work relationships. For others, it's about supporting them to rewrite their personal narrative, the conversation that's going on in their head. We're all so hard on ourselves these days.
We are.
We're so hard.
But it's not us, it's the media and the environment, and everybody expects everybody to be perfect at all the time. And we live in perfect world. So, and his life is a journey.
Oh, and then I was just going to say, like, with environmental toxins, you want to talk about bang for your buck. I think that's a place where we can each take an inventory of what's in our bathroom cabinet that we're putting on our bodies, on our skin, our largest organ, right? With this really important, sophisticated barrier system, and we're bombarding it with so many different weird chemicals each day. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck just cleaning up those personal care products, and then also what you're cleaning your house with.
This is complicated. This is way more than what we go into at visits with patients. This is like such a holistic approach. I imagine this takes probably many visits to go over all these different topics with patients.
It definitely does. So in the program that I offer called Longevity Lift, I offer that as a 12-part series, and clients have the option to go through that on something like a weekly basis. It's really personalized. It's whatever works best for you. But one of the ways that I recommend doing that is doing it as a 12-part series once a month, so that each month we're addressing one of those topics, dialing in for you at a personalized level what you want and need and are ready to do around that topic. And then you take a month to implement that, along with my support in terms of experimenting and dialing it in for you.
Like that.
How do you find or what are the tips if somebody wants to find a coach? How do they go about it, and what they should look for in a coach?
Yeah, I think the best way to look for a coach, I would recommend that people think about what are their objectives, then go to the National Board Certified for Health and Wellness Coaches website and check out the coach directory there. By doing that, then you know that you're getting a coach who has gone through a foundational coaching program that is accredited, and then that they have also taken the extra time to study and take the national board exam. One of the tricky things about coaching is that you don't have to have education in order to call yourself a coach and hang out your shingle. And there are a lot of people out there who are not certified coaches who are certainly qualified. They have experience, they have education in other areas. However, there are also a lot of people who don't have the education that stands up to the standards of the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching. So I think that that's meaningful at this point to be doing that. And then you can find someone who seems like a good personality fit for you, good skill sets fit for you. And most coaches offer a free discovery call so that you can have a moment with them for 15-20 minutes to see if they are a good fit for you.
If you had 30 seconds to tell the world your clinical pearls that you've learned over the years, what would it be?
Oh, 30 seconds. I don't know about that. I tend to not have brevity as one of my talents. But anyway, you know, my branded motto is upgrade your health span, maximize your lifespan.
I love that.
Because optimizing your lifestyle factors is the number one thing to do, whether you're looking to overcome health adversity or to optimize your health. And so if you're up for it, this might be a great moment to discuss the importance of removing versus adding. Because too often I'm noticing that we're focusing on finding that magic thing to add in order to make our lives better, when what we need to first be thinking in terms of obstacles or limitations, asking first, what's in the way of the wellness or outcome that I'm seeking? Because we can add supplements or pills or some kind of new superfood that we saw on social media. We can go and pay for fancy treatments, but if the cells are not working properly because each day you're still eating those toxic oils, the inflammatory foods or substances, or foods that you have a particular sensitivity or intolerance to, then you will have a difficult, if not futile, time reducing the volume of your body's inflammation or disease process, because you haven't managed the root cause of the noise. And I'll use food here as an easy example again, because it's something that's within a person's control. What goes in your mouth, you have control over. And the same thing goes with each of the other lifestyle factors. If you're neglecting your stressors, if you're neglecting your sleep, movement, relationships, mindset, etc., that all has an impact.
Thank you, Holly. This has been incredible. Really appreciate your time and expertise. How can our listeners find you?
Yeah, they can go to longevitylift.com.
And we'll include that all in the show notes. We'll have your website, and this has been incredible. Thank you again.
Thank you, Holly.